book lovers, it is G-Swiss here, and first book haul of the year, more like first book haul in a year. I avoided filming a book haul for a while, and it's not that I didn't film a book haul last year. I actually did. Probably around March time last year, I filmed a book haul. The problem was, I don't remember, was it lost footage or I couldn't get the thumbnail right? There were just a lot of factors into it that just did not motivate me to edit or post that book haul. Look where we are now. I've lost track of how many books I've hauled, so what I'm not gonna do is talk about every single book I hauled in 2021 because we'd be here forever. I've decided to just choose the ones that I've hauled in the last few months, and then going forward keep doing that, so you guys do have content to watch from me, and you guys also know what books I haul. There are a lot to get through today, so I guess without further ado, I'm gonna get straight into the book haul. I want to start off with 2 editions of the same book. When I see that there are multiple special editions coming out for the same book, I simp. I don't know, like I just feel that way. It was originally planned that the October bookish box would have Vespertine by Margaret Rogerson, and I also saw that Fairy Loot were doing a special edition. Now, how I'm able to justify this is the fact that they both have different covers. I was excited to get a Fairy Loot special edition of this book, but I was mostly excited because the rest of Margaret Rogerson's books are also going to have editions like this, and so that's when I decided that I wanted to start a collection. I was right to do so because this edition is absolutely beautiful. I'm a simple woman. When I see a special edition that looks like a classic bound book, it has me. When I found out the second half year releases of the bookish box, I decided to keep my subscription. I was actually only gonna subscribe for 1 box, and that was the These Hollow Vows box, because I just wanted a copy of These Hollow Vows and I wanted to see what their customizations would be. And then when they announced their August to December lineup, that is when I knew I had to keep my subscription. Thankfully I have, because they've come up with some really cool customizations. Personally, out of all the covers that I've seen of Vespertine so far, I really love this color scheme the most. I did not intend to choose another Charlie Bow water cover. It just happened to be under it. I don't know, maybe it was just my mind playing games on me. Third book in the Skyward series by Brandon Sanderson, Cytonic. Have I read the series yet? No. But am I a simple person who buys books in a series so that they can eventually binge read it? Yes, I'm a simple person like that. Back to the special editions. I have these special editions of The Prison Healer and The Gilded Cage. Both of them done by Fairy Loot, and they look beautiful. I pretty much spent $200. I'm not lying. I spent $200, actually including shipping. I was devastated when I woke up the morning of the Fairy Loot restock. So I had hoped that I was going to get the Prison Healer first book in the Fairy Loot restock. I waited for around 7 or 8 months, right? Between the time that it first came out in the Fairy Loot box and the time that they did the restock. I waited for this restock to happen. I was so excited for it to finally happen. I was getting ready, and what do you know? I sleep through the restock. I was fuming. I was angry. I was sad. I was very unhinged that day. So you know what I did out of being unhinged? I went onto eBay. I took $200 out of pocket and then just full on went for it. Like, I just did not care anymore. There was no chance Fairy Loot was going to restock it. That wasn't $200 I was preparing to spend. It was not. And I ended up buying it. And you guys might be thinking, geez whiz, that's too much for a book. If you look at eBay, that is the average price for the Prison Healer on there. I've even seen higher. That was the best deal that I could find. I think I saw an eBay listing with both of these for like $450. Even the Gilded Cage sold out very quickly on the Fairy Loot website. I had to wake up really early to get this one as well, even though I had no guarantee that I was gonna get the Prison Healer. But I took a chance on buying this one, regardless of whether I was gonna get a Prison Healer of this copy or not. I just purchased it. I probably took it off of someone's hands. I don't care. I have it now. Let's get into some contemporaries now. I have 2 Emily Henry books that I have to haul. These are very popular on the book internet, and these books are Beach Read and You and Me on Vacation, aka The People We Meet on Vacation, because for some reason the UK and Australian market had to change the title. Like, I don't get it. So Emily Henry, I knew her from being a young adult author. I didn't know that she was going to go into the adult contemporary genre, but she did, and she's been doing very successfully. I mean, she's apparently a TikTok sensation according to the internet at the moment, and as I'm just starting my adult romance contemporary kick, that's when I decided that she was going to be added to my TBR. are. And for some reason, even though I have not yet read them, I'm already anticipating her next book, Book Lovers. Next, I have to bring up The Spanish Love Deception by Elena Armas. Now, this book was actually originally independently published. It's only just been picked up by Simon & Schuster, which is incredible. I'm really happy for the author that they've gotten a book deal and they are now traditionally published. And two books by the same author, going back into the romance contemporary kick, are Red, White, and Royal Blue, and One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston. These books are two separate contemporaries that I've heard about at separate times. One Last Stop came out, I believe, last year. I'm not gonna lie, this book and the premise was actually what encouraged me to start picking up Casey McQuiston's books. Red, White, and Royal Blue, this has been hyped for the last few years. A bunch of my friends love this book and they've been like recommending it to me, even though I wasn't into contemporary romance, but thankfully it's happening right now. Thankfully, I'm going through my renaissance of a contemporary kick because I used to go through this with young adult. Now I'm just reading a bunch of adult romances and it's great. So I'm very much looking forward to reading these ones and giving them the attention they deserve. We're diving back into fantasy-ish romance. I don't actually know if these are contemporary but just inspired by Greek mythology or if there's actually mythological elements in the series. That, my friends, is the Dark Olympus saga, or at least the first two books in that series so far, and those are Neon Gods and Electric Idol. Neon Gods is a Hades and Persephone retelling, and Electric Idol is a Psyche and Eros retelling. I'm very much looking forward to seeing where Katie Roberts gonna take these two stories. I have read one book by Katie Roberts, and yeah, it was smutty, so I'm expecting a lot of smut from these books. And then I bring up It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. This one I've actually read. I think this was my first adult contemporary solely romance book that I read this year. It's definitely reassured me that I made the right decision in now opening up my arms to this genre. It is technically summer here in the Southern Hemisphere. I mean, my setting really set the mood for this book. Therefore, I think I should pick up more contemporary in this season. But yeah, I'd say if you find yourself in summer, if you want to read a contemporary, this is a good one. Maybe I'll move on to some fantasy just to break it up. Let's go with Gilded by Marissa Meyer. This is a Rumpelstiltskin retelling. I thought that it was going to be a standalone, but turns out it's not. Oh, I forgot to mention that this is the Fairy Loot exclusive edition. I actually wasn't wanting to buy this book originally. Marissa Meyer has definitely been one of my favorite authors over time. I've pretty much read almost everything by Marissa Meyer, but for some reason I wasn't really that interested in a Rumpelstiltskin retelling. Then all of a sudden, when I was buying Vespertine, I saw that Gilded had like a few spare copies, and that's when I was like, okay, I'm gonna add that to my cart. Then over time, I've heard great things about this book, and so now I feel honored that I bought it. Now everybody's like trying to seek out this copy because it's just too pretty. It's literally Gilded. You couldn't be more on point with this edition, I'd say. Next, I bring up The Iron Widow by Giron Zhao. Funnily enough, I watched the author's channel when they first released their first video. It was actually trending in my recommendations back then, and I didn't even know that they were planning to publish a book. I mean, they mentioned it in their video, but I actually did not know that Iron Widow existed or was like coming out later in 2021. If I knew this earlier, then I would have looked into it because it's pretty much a mech sci-fi that mixes with Chinese history, and it's fascinating. I've talked about it on here a few times, but I'm hearing a few comparisons to Neon Genesis Evangelion, which is one of my favorite animes of all time. When it's compared to one of your favorite animes of all time, that is when you know that that might just be the next book for you. Next, I want to mention a fantasy romance book that was provided to me by Entangled Publishing. Thank you so much, Entangled Publishing, for sending this my way and also paying attention to my reading taste. They knew that I loved fantasy romance, and they sent me a fantasy romance by Abigail Owen, and that is The Rogue King, the first book in the Inferno Rising saga, and I'm very much looking forward to reading this. I believe it has to do with dragon shifters. If it is anything like Talon, then I'm here for it because I really loved the Talon saga and I loved following the dragon shifters in that series. I haven't really actually read too many books with dragon shifters. I've read books with dragons. I've probably only read one book with dragon shift. No, jokes. They paid attention to the fact that I love Crave. Of course. Oh my goodness, yes. Crave does have a dragon shifter character. What am I thinking? I'm very much looking forward to reading this book, checking out some more dragon shifter romance. Thank you so much, Entangled Publishing, for sending this my way, and also watching my channel. You guys are awesome. And then I recently ended up hauling Once More Upon a Time by Rashoni Chokshi. Once More Upon a Time was actually originally released as an Audible original audiobook, and then it only just recently got traditionally published into a mini hardback book. I recently received this in my bookish box, October adult box. I don't know much about it except that it is not really a fairy tale retelling, but it's inspired by a few fairy tales mixed into this one novella. The next two books I got a haul are The Binding and The Betrayals by Bridget Collins. Now, I've heard about these books more from word of mouth rather than on the book internet. I mean, I've seen the books around on the internet, but I haven't actually heard reviews on the internet. I've more actually just talked to people and they're like, oh my god, you should read The Binding or you should read The Betrayals. Finally doing it. I really actually spent only $14 in total. I bought The Betrayals at Kmart for $9 and I ended up buying this edition of The Binding from Dimmicks on discount for like $5. Amazing, right? I couldn't resist a bargain. And of course, I've got the sequel to These Violent Delights, Our Violent Ends by Chloe Gong. I have not yet read this book, but I know that I'm going to be destroyed. If you have no context, this is the finale to a Romeo and Juliet reimagining that is set in 1920s Shanghai. And now I want to bring up some books that I didn't necessarily haul, but I hauled the Dust Jacket, the Touch of Magic exclusive edition of the Infernal Devices series by Cassandra Clare. The first one being Clockwork Angel, the second one being Clockwork Prince, and the third one being Clockwork Princess. These were illustrated by Jenlin C. I am just so impressed by how amazing these dust jackets turned out. I also really love the spines. I know some of you guys might be worried as to the fact that it does not match the rest of my Shadowhunters collection, but the distributor is actually planning to do the rest of the series as well. I thought to myself, as much as I did want to get matching hardbacks of everyone, I don't mind doing it in this way, where Gemlin C actually illustrates all the covers. What's not to love about them? Speaking of Cassandra Clare, I have the 5th anniversary edition of Lady Midnight, which is incredible, by the way. The fact that everybody is so excited for the 5th anniversary of this series just really says something. Even though the Dark Artifices at this point isn't necessarily my favorite series, I think it's because that I've forgotten so much about it and I probably read the series at the wrong time. I'm still very much excited to reread it and revisit these characters. I had to bring up a box set of a series that I've already read, but I'm currently in the process of getting the new covers for Brandon Sanderson's book. So I had the Stormlight archive and I was a little bit bitter at the fact that my Brandon Sanderson books at the moment do not fully match each other. The exception being the Skyward series because I do love the Charlie Bowater covers, okay? However, with his fantasy books, I couldn't help it. Literally Boxing Day 2020. I was looking for this box set everywhere and I couldn't find it. And so for some reason, I just waited until Boxing Day 2021 and boom, there was one more box set. So I purchased it. I know some of you guys are gonna laugh at me, but here we are. Look, I changed my mind over the years because for some reason, I just wanna know. I wanna know why. Everybody loves Colleen Hoover. I purchased probably one of her most popular books at the moment. You know what drove me to actually decide to pick it up? I have a work colleague who told me about a kid that she saw that was probably around 9 years old. Reading a Colleen Hoover book. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, I even know that Colleen Hoover is not age appropriate. And this book is not age appropriate for a child. You know why? Because it deals with, I can't say the word, I'll put it on the screen. It deals with a relationship that's not good. I would understand if maybe the kid was like 14. Okay, maybe the kid is 14, even though like it's probably not as age appropriate. Maybe, I don't know. I can't speak. I'm not like a parent, nor am I a child. I'm like right in between there. This is technically also classified as new adult, but the fact that a 9-year-old was reading it got me curious as to why that 9-year-old was reading It Ends With Us. Like, I understand TikTok is promoting it, but like both of us knew that 9-year-old's probably too young. I literally swore off her books years ago because everybody was like interested in them and I wasn't. I'm going to try reading Coho and see how that goes. However, I'm taking reviews into consideration. I'm not saying I'm buying these for enjoyment. I'm more buying these because I want to know. I want to read her books for myself before judging. Getting back to contemporary stuff, yeah. So I've got this book called Witch Please, and I've heard this book be compared to the TV series Bewitched. I was actually never allowed to watch it because evangelical family, everyone. That was the situation. Anything to do with witches, witchcraft, that wasn't what I was allowed to read or watch. I always remember that the channel was changed on our TV when Bewitched came on. I've always wanted to know the contemporary idea of having someone who can perform magic in a household. I probably would have enjoyed it as a kid, but I never got a chance to watch it. And so that's happening in this contemporary novel. By the looks of it, this is looking like a very magical contemporary contemporary, and for some reason I want to give it a go. Speaking of witchy novels, this actually wasn't planned, but I mean technically it was. They were sitting on my bookshelf next to each other, so of course I stacked them up together. The X Hex. Yes, this has to do with a witchy romance again. I hear that this book is compared to Witch Please as well. I promise you guys that Payback's a Witch was not in this haul. However, I was going to get it if I could, but I just could not find it in bookstores during Boxing Day, so I did not get it. I heard a lot of things, but mostly from people who got it from the Book of the Month box. Also, people on Bookstagram, they be raving about this one. Now let's go on to another romance novel that I've been looking forward to, but I think this one I'm looking forward to the most. The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. I've been looking forward to this one the most, not because it's Raylo fanfiction. I'm not into Star Wars. I've been looking forward to this one because it has demisexual representation. That's exciting for me because I don't think I've ever really seen like explicit demisexual representation. I have headcanons, okay? My headcanon is full on the idea of Legoshi from Beastars being demisexual, or maybe even Tris Pryor from Divergent, maybe even demisexual. I don't know. Like there's a few headcanons that I do have, but they have not been confirmed. However, there's a confirmation in here apparently that there is demisexual representation, and that means a lot to me. And now I have to bring up No Words by Meg Cabot. I also got this in my October adult bookish box because the book in that box was really small. I showed it to you once more upon a time, and so they wanted to fill up the space a little bit and give us a romance contemporary novel. I know nothing about this, but I only just recently found out that this is like a part of a contemporary companion trilogy. I might have to read the other two books, but I don't actually know if I have to, but maybe I want to. We'll see. And now I have to bring up The Charm Offensive. This book is just making rounds. I'm pretty sure it was like published late last year. I've heard nothing but great things about it from everyone around me. And I'm gonna be talking about a book that I don't believe is a romance. This one's more contemporary-esque. I don't know if it classifies as literary. I guess it's just fiction. Because Taylor Jenkins Reid, I don't know where to classify. But what I do know is that Daisy Jones in the Six has to do with a musical band in the 70s? I believe. I don't actually remember. What I do know is that everybody is raving about this book, and I have read The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and yes, I loved it. I wasn't actually that excited for Daisy Jones and the Six when it first came out. There's gonna be an adaptation, and I'm so excited. So I honestly cannot wait to watch that adaptation. But first of all, I've got to read the book, and then I'm gonna fan with everybody else about it. Now I bring up 3 Sally Rooney books. I've become that chick. I've become that person who reads Sally Rooney and cries. No, I actually have not yet read 2 of these books. However, my first read of the year was Normal People. And then I thought to myself after reading Normal People that I needed to pick up more from her catalog. So I got Conversations with Friends. I'm looking forward to reading this one. I don't hear many things about Conversations with Friends. I'm interested in seeing how this one's gonna go with me. And this one recently came out. I have an exclusive edition. Beautiful World, Where Are You? This book came out a few months ago. I actually was gifted this book from Camilo. It was very sweet of him to buy this book for me. I think after reading Normal People, I've just really been interested in reading more from Sally Rooney, discovering more of the themes that they write about. I wonder if these books are going to hit me in the feels just as much as Normal People, but you'll find out eventually. And another addition to our bookshelf is The Wind-Up Bird Chronicle in this amazing edition. This is by Haruki Murakami. We've been eyeing this edition for probably 2 years, and it's just gorgeous, you know? Even though it doesn't necessarily match the rest of the books that we have on our Murakami shelf, I love it. It being like one of my top 3. Like, of course, like I wouldn't pass up a beautiful edition of it. Now they just need to make one for Kafka on the Shore, and then we're sorted. I also recently unboxed the September Young Adult bookish box, and I received Defy the Night. This book cover was also illustrated by Gemlin C, and it's absolutely gorgeous, and I'm very much looking forward to reading it. Here's to hoping I will. Next, I gotta mention Shadow of Light by Molly E. Lee. This is a sequel to Ember of Night. I've been looking forward to reading this series because it seems dark and paranormal. I'd say that it sounds a little bit like The Mortal Instruments as well. Maybe Crave meets The Mortal Instruments. We'll see if it meets there in the middle. What I do know is that I'm excited to pick this book series up eventually. This book is technically actually out of print. I ended up finding it hidden in Dimmix. Incredible. I don't know if I can get the rest of the books in these editions in print. I don't know. We'll see one day. But what I do know is that for sure I have the first hardback edition of The Falconer by Elizabeth May. I love these covers so much, and I don't actually understand why they needed a rebrand. It does not look as good. I've really wanted to collect the rest of the books in these editions, but I'm probably never gonna find them. But what I do know is that I do want that to happen eventually. Maybe they can reprint Chronicle Chronicle books, maybe you can do that. Now I'm going to bring up the Illumicrate special editions of the Greenbone Saga, which consists of Jade City, Jade War, and Jade Legacy. Let me show you the pages if you haven't yet already seen them. They look really cool. I really wanted to read the series sometime, but I really love these covers more than I like the original covers, so I thought that I would take a chance on it, that I would buy them, and I have a feeling that I'm really gonna love the series. The problem is I'm just not yet into the series, and I really do need to get into them. And then I have the Fairy Loot exclusive editions of the Winter Night trilogy. They look absolutely beautiful. I love the color scheme that they went with. I also really love the pages, how bright they are, how beautifully painted they are. They did such a good job with the set. It sold out, I believe, within 48 hours of it going up. I ended up getting it after the subscribers first took their batches. And I have the special collector's edition of They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. This is one of the most popular books on the internet right now because it is taking TikTok by storm. I have the special UK edition. I didn't originally like the original cover until I saw this gold. I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna get it. I didn't actually have interest in reading this book, considering that it is technically a young adult contemporary. However, I'm willing to give it a try because a lot of people really love it. So I think I do want to read it and see what the hype's all about. And I thought, what better way of doing that than actually getting a special edition of it. Speaking of special collector's editions that I haven't actually read the original book for, The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. Okay, so I have actually read Circe and I did enjoy Circe. However, this one right here, Song of Achilles, I never actually ended up reading, and I've wanted to get the book for some time, but I never ended up doing that until I saw this beautiful edition, and that's when I knew I had to get it. Like, this edition was going to be mine, and I know that this beautifully packaged book is going to make me cry. And I have a feeling that Heartstopper is also going to make me cry and also smile. I have all 4 volumes out so far. I actually didn't know that volume 4 wasn't out in the US yet. I really love the art style, and I'm very much looking forward to following the story of both Nick and Charlie. The next 3 books I'm going to bring up are Fablecrate exclusive editions. First one I want to mention is October's, and that is the exclusive edition of Lake's Edge by Lindell Clipstone. I do like this edition as opposed to the others. I also like the pretty art style underneath done by Alice Maria Power, I believe. Yeah, but I need to read Lake's Edge eventually because the author is actually an Australian author, and I do want to support more Australian authors. I do want to endorse them, so hopefully I do read it this year. The November pick was Within These Wicked Walls by Lauren Blackwood. It did come with like some under the dust jacket art, but not necessarily a cover. I've heard interesting things about this one. And then the December book was Heart of the Impaler by Alexander Delacroix. I believe that this is inspired by Vlad the Impaler. This is artwork by Gemlin C. I think that they did an amazing job with this hardback. Then I recently bought some books from the Bookish Box during their Black Friday sale where they were selling past items. First book I want to share with you guys is Unchosen by Catherine Blair. This cover was illustrated by Alephian Art, and oh my goodness, Alephian Art is one of my favorite artists, and so that's when I knew that I had to get this book. I believe that this is a sci-fi dystopian. This cover really sold me on it. I had to buy it, so I'm really happy that I did. And then their March book, I believe, I got Pride and Premeditation by Tirza Price. This is the only book that I'm displaying with its original cover. Let me show you the under the dust jacket art. It is illustrated by Monolime. It is absolutely beautiful. I also like the original cover as well, so I actually don't know which way to display it. And then their April pick was These Feathered Flames by Alexandra Overy. I love this alternative dust jacket. It looks so pretty. I really love the stained glass especially. That's when I knew that I had to buy it. I purchased their May book, and their May book ended up being probably my most anticipated book that they were going to be dropping during Black Friday, and it ended up selling out very quickly. And that, my friends, is Realmbreaker by Victoria Aveyard. Look at this absolutely beautiful cover. I especially love this part right here, the center. I also like that this cover isn't necessarily colored. It's full of shades, but there's some gold in the background. I don't know, I just find that so fascinating, and I think that it works very well for Realmbreaker, considering that the original cover is kind of like a gold cover anyway. And the final book that I got from the Bookish Box Black Friday sale was their June book. This was the book that they had in their boxes before I subscribed to the Bookish Box. So the June book was Goldspun by Brandy June. This book actually has a completely different cover, but this was the Bookish Box exclusive cover. I like the contrast between the green book and the yellow pages. I think that it works very well. You'd think that Goldspun would have gold pages, but I like the risk that they took with the yellow. I think that they did an amazing job with this beautiful edition, and I had to have it on my shelves. I knew nothing about Goldspun before they featured it in their box, but just knew that I had to get it because of this beautiful cover. Also, let's just appreciate that for a second. This one I'm probably gonna get a little bit bitter about, but hear me out, okay? Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. I pre-ordered this book to make sure that I got the first edition. But you know what the book depository decided to do? As soon as release date happened, they made the item out of stock. And then I waited for months for them to get back into stock and so that they could send out books. This is why I feel personally attacked. I understand that a bunch of people pre-ordered the book. Yeah, I understand that. But the thing was, I pre-ordered it months before it actually came out. And then when it came out, you'd expect them to have the stock by then. But they stopped mail outs altogether. And that's what frustrated me. I don't know what happened behind the scenes, but it just felt very shady. I end up finding out, opening my package, disappointed, that I have nothing under my dust jacket. I'm devastated. But as of today, I purchased the Fairy Loot edition secondhand. I know! You'll see that in my next haul. But that's to make up for the book depository's negligence. I don't want to complain about book companies, but like, I feel like the book depository really did me dirty here. And the last two series that I'm gonna bring up were both Bookish Box special editions that were very exciting to receive, and I technically received them on the same day. First one I want to mention is Kingdom of the Wicked series by Carrie Maniscalco. And this first book is technically actually my book, but with an alternative dust jacket, and it looks so pretty. But this book right here, Kingdom of the Cursed, was actually sent by them. It has these very cute rose goldy pages, and underneath the dust jacket, look at that. So pretty. I wasn't subscribed to the Bookish Box when they did Kingdom of the Wicked originally, so unfortunately I don't have that design underneath my dust jacket, but I at least have this one, and I have these two together, and in my opinion, Mono Lime did a better job with these covers than the original cover designer. The final two books that I have to haul today are indeed Bookish Box special editions as well, and they are the first two books in the Married to Magic trilogy. The first one being A Deal with the Elf King, and the second book being A Dance with the Fae Prince. There are actually two different cover variations for this series. However, I feel like the first ones on the other side of this dust jacket look too similar to the original cover. This one looks a bit too similar in my opinion. Then with Dance with the Fae Prince, I like this cover. The problem is it's too similar, just in a different pose. They're almost wearing the same thing, whereas this one is like close up and it's just a different variation, different kind of art style. I like that. So that's why I decided to display them like this. They're alternative. Even though the other side does technically have gold foiling, I wanted to settle with these ones. And I also really love the pages on here. They look absolutely pretty. Both of them have foiling on their naked hardbacks. I think that the Bookish Box did an amazing job with these editions, and I also want to show you some really cool art right there. They were very limited. I'm pretty sure they sold out within the subscriber sale. So I'm really happy that I woke up at 2 a.m. to make sure I purchased them. I guess that's gonna be it for this book haul today, book lovers. If you made it this far into the video, leave me that smiley face with the 3 hearts around it. I love that emoji so much. I use it all the time just so that you can share the love. I feel like I need it right now. If you happen to enjoy this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet already. Join the amazing community of book lovers. I'm talking very fast, I'm sorry. I also have social medias. I'm at gswizzlebooks on Twitter and Instagram, and I'm also Goodreads. That's www.goodreads.com/gswizzle. And finally, I'm at TikTok. I'm at gswizzle on TikTok if you want to follow me there for some bookish content. I love you, book lovers. I hope you enjoyed the haul, and I will see you later. Peace. Started out with half and I flipped it into double. Started out with half and I flipped it into double.